Joe Mazzulla joins us now on Zolak and Bertrand. Joe, good morning.
Who gets the credit for the song today?
That is always producer extraordinaire T-Bone.
Yeah, it's a great song.
What do you want next week? Let you request.
I mean, I kind of like the surprise there.
All right.
We've hit on a good couple ones. We've had Bob Deep. We had the Fugees.
Yeah.
Yes, we have.
You know?
Pays to listen, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on?
I've been sick, Joe. I've had the flu this week.
Yeah. Zoe's recovering. He's feeling better.
Yeah.
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 So you let yourself get sick, huh?
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know how you know. We touch so many. I lick a lot of doorknobs on the way in, but you know, but isn't it a scary
that would
thing?
help you not get sick.
And you think this is going around. You got kids at home. Like you're the head coach of a professional team. Do you worry about like these bugs hitting your team, especially like when you guys are on the road, you're on the same plane, you're in the same area? Like it could cost your team some losses. Really could.
No, I mean, I think it's just it's just nature. It's part of it. I mean, obviously, I want people to be safe. I want guys to be safe. But at the same time, it's just nature. So as long as our guys are doing whatever they can to be as safe as they can, we go from there. But for me personally, I like when my kids get sick.
You like when your children
It's
get
good
sick?
for them.
Huh.
Yeah, it's good for them.
How about that, Beetle?
It's kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna lie.
What if it's an ear infection, Joe? Like that's painful. Like you're not building up an immune system.
But you gotta learn from it. I mean, you see this article now. This is a little bit more because of resources, but there's a small town in Italy that made it illegal to get sick because they don't have the resources to be able to take care of people. And so to me, that almost puts you in like a psychological mindset that like you're just not going to get hurt or sick, and you just got to do whatever you can because you know that you're not going to have the help. So I do think sometimes like you can talk yourself into getting sick.
Oh, I could do that.
Yeah, I think Zoe does that frequently. Yeah, he frequently is.
I mean, you just did. You
Especially
just
on
gave yourself
Fridays,
the flu.
Yeah.
So are you suggesting that these people in this small town in Italy have the mental capacity to prevent sickness because they fear the repercussions? What do? They throw you in jail there? Is that what happens?
No, it's just because they don't. I think they're like it's really far from a hospital, and they may not have like enough ambulances. So no, I don't obviously want that and don't promote that. But I do think that those types of situations you can develop almost a psychology to where like you'll just put up a wall to where you have a choice that you can't get sick.
Well, Porzingis didn't look sick last night. Looks like he's been drinking.
No, he didn't. I mean, he looked in a different way. He looked sick. He was sick in like a different way, like how the kids say.
Hey, since Christmas, there's a crazy stat that at least 12 players have set or tied their season highs for made three-pointers against you guys.
So glad you asked me about that.
Oh,
all right. Yeah, go for it.
Awesome.
What do you got?
What do you got on that?
Well, because, there's two sides to every coin, and so if we're going to tweet that stat, we also have to tweet the opposite, that the other team's opposing best players have been shooting 27% since that stretch. And so it's kind of like it's the beautiful duality of sport and art and competition.
Is that how you would kind of describe the way the Houston game went the other night?
Well, I mean, you take a look at, so again, you go into a game and, you obviously, okay, here are the team's strengths. Can we take away their strengths? Can we leverage their weaknesses into doing certain things? Now, throughout the game, that changes depending upon how the game is going. But, you have to be able to have a mindset and an understanding of like, okay, you take a look at Houston, their three best playmakers are Van Vliet, Jalen Green, and Şengün, and those three guys are, and obviously with Amen Thompson. And so what do you have to do to leverage their weaknesses and be able to put them in difficult spots? And so, I think you do that into every game. And so I love the beauty of, yes, teams' role players have hurt us, but we've also stopped teams' best players. And so I think you're in a constant cost-benefit analysis about how you're going to defend and attack a team. And, in particular, I also think, it's easy to, if you take a look at Dylan Brooks' threes, 4 of them are in transition. So that's not a game plan thing. The way you defend those four is you don't turn the ball over and you sprint back. One was on an Amen Thompson drive underneath the baseline where we just fell asleep, and you have to, when baseline drives happen, you want to inch out to the shooter because that driver is no longer a driving threat. And so that's not a game plan thing. That's just we didn't execute the tactic of inching out. on baseline drives. And so, two of them, were game plan execution ones. And so I think it's really difficult if you're not, in the game plan, if you're not paying attention to be able to decipher what is given up and what given up because of the flow of game and what is given up because of a tactical error in execution. And so, that's the beauty and the duality of art, sport, and competition. And that's kind of the breakdown of, if you look at those 10 makes, at least half of them were out of game plan execution situations.
You had a challenge the other night late on a foul that Drew Holiday committed, and I know that that ate up one of the timeouts late in the fourth quarter. My question coming off of that is what's the process like for you in deciding whether or not to challenge a play, and how much time do you have? Is there like a mental clock that is ticking?
You have 30 seconds if you call a timeout, and you really have until the ref gives the other team the ball if it's a side out or if it's a free throw. And so it's become increasingly difficult to challenge now that you can add fouls. Like last night, it's a perfect example. And, there's minor, gray area because you hear a lot of words as like marginal, incidental, contact was marginal. It was an incidental contact. It was kind of contact, but it didn't really, so there's gray area on what the different levels of contact are. And so that puts you in a bind as to kind of how it's going to be interpreted. And if you look at the challenge last night, D. White marginally, nicked whoever's elbow, and they added a foul. And so as you're going into this challenges, you have to kind of gauge, okay, is it going to be marginal? Is it going to be incidental? Is it 100% obvious? Is it worth 2 points? Is it worth possession? And so you really only got, 15 to 30 seconds to decide that. So the one in Houston, I think we were up 2. And, I really trust our guys. I trust our guys. Drew was adamant about the illegal screen in Dallas. We missed one when Tatum was adamant that it went off a guy's foot in Dallas, and we didn't challenge that. And so we talk about the challenges a lot, and we're pretty adamant about the process of it. So Drew was very, didn't think he'd foul him. And I think when you can save 2 points in a close game like that against a really good offensive team in clutch situations, you try to do that. But, you have to interpret, some of the gray area of contact.
Are there certain players you might trust a little bit more than others, or are there some guys where you're like, hey, man, you're 0 for your last 3. I don't know if we're going to pull the trigger on this.
Marcus.
No, because, I trust all the guys. But, again, it's not even really trusting the guys as much as what you're now having to study is what is each ref's turnover rate in a challenge situation.
Interesting.
And so it's not even about trusting the guys as much as do you know the psychology of the ref as to are they, what is their definition of marginal and incidental versus contact that impacted a play. And so, and then, we're constantly taking a look at, are you challenging a call of that ref who made the call versus are you challenging a call of the ref who didn't make the call? And so, if the crew chief makes the call, it could be interpreted different if he's the one going to look at his own call versus the psychology of going to look at someone else's call. And,
wow.
And, I think those are deep level psychological things that you have to be aware of. And so having understanding of what ref overturns how many challenges and who has the interpretation of marginal and incidental is also, something else that you have to be aware of.
Is that solely on you, your decision, Joe, or is this a collaborative study that you guys scout teams with and the mindset that you have going into each and every game with the refs?
No. I mean, our staff and our staff does a tremendous job, and in particular, Matt Reynolds and Emil took over for him when Matt moved up or back there, and the pregame stuff is, the staff is constantly studying. And then when we watch, we do read all the last 2-minute reports to see what type of calls were overturned and which ones you think have a chance to be overturned or not overturned. I think those are valuable information. But those guys do a tremendous job of kind of processing that information within a 15 to 30-second span.
Is there a specific call that you kind of know going in? Like you just mentioned, you'll go over the data, but is there a call that you know what, this is not worth it because it just doesn't get overturned on a consistent enough basis? I
mean, the block charge is a perfect example of that. I mean, watching hundreds of those, you have no idea. We have a pretty clear thought of what that looks like, but it's such a bang play that I think, to me, a block charge, unless it's like the fourth quarter and it's an and one and it's an opportunity to end a run or do that, I think those are really, really difficult to be able to determine in real time.
How deep do the stats and research go on refs beyond what it is with reviews, but their tendencies, the calls they make, home, road, things of that nature?
I mean, they can go as deep as you're willing to go. I mean, I think you can, all that information is accessible online, and so it's as far as you're willing to go. I think the most important thing is, having an understanding of, when we're talking about challenges, what the psychology of their decision making is when it comes to, reviewing challenges. I think is really important.
Well, it is a long-standing, deep Celtic tradition to hate the refs and always believe that the refs are out to get the Boston Celtics. That is a long-standing thing.
I would say that's like every team, don't you think?
Listen, as a lifelong Bostonian and Celtics
Joe.
fan, I would just tell you it's part of our identity that you hate the refs and you think they're out to get the Celtics and they love the Lakers.
Thank you, Tommy.
I think I would argue that's more of a New England thing where you just have a chip on your shoulder and you're just so combative with everybody that like you're just willing to just, everyone. That's kind of how I am.
That might be true.
It's true. Like look at the Chiefs.
You've said
you're just like whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you've said multiple times at the podium before and after games with us that the last couple of months, the ups and downs and the challenges of the last couple of months have been the fun part of the season. Do you think that message? Yeah, you again, no question. Do you think that message has been well received by your players? Do they view it the same way, that this has been the fun part of this season?
I mean, listen, it's always difficult. We obviously have a compass and an alignment as to our communication and how we go about things together. But, I can't simulate what they're going through from a physical standpoint. And so, I think when I speak about that, I speak more about the mental aspect of it and the opportunity to grow as a team and go through difficult things together and have to rely on each other. But, I can't speak for the physical thing that they have to go through, year, not just this year, but all the time. And so some of it may not seem like that from a physical standpoint at times when they're battling an overtime game and then have to play a back-to-back, or you're home for a couple of days, you got to go back on the road. So to me, when I talk about that, it's more, how are we going to go about this journey together as a team for, however long we're together and go through some stuff. But I would say they probably don't like that when it comes to, what they have to put their bodies through consistently. And, I try to be as, aware of that as I can.
Pressure can mess with your head, and it can mess with your ability to play. You look at last year where you guys are still chasing the championship. Then you get crowned. The pressure this year, as far as defending it and having the target on your back, do you feel there's more pressure this year than there actually was last year when you guys had the record you had the number one seed, just the way you were rolling?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, listen, I think somebody asked me that in a press conference earlier this year, and it's like, did you think that things were going to be different after you won? And the reality is it's never going to be different. And so I think the best thing that we've made a decision on, over the last couple of years and how we want to go about it is just there's freedom and having an understanding that, it's the ultimate compliment that the expectation is to always win. And these are the things, this is why it's the fun part, because just because it's fun doesn't mean it's not hard or challenging. It doesn't mean that you're not pissed off or angry some of the times. But these are the things that when you're a kid, these are the things that you ask for. You ask for the opportunity to be a part of one of the best teams of all time, the opportunity to win all the time, the opportunity to have the responsibility to success and winning. And so, you just have to remind yourself and have that childlike remembrance of this is what you worked for since you were 8-10 years old, and now that you have it, you'll be judged more by how you handle it. So, if we didn't win last year, the pressure would be this year. If we don't win this year, there'll be more pressure to win next year. Or, so there's always going to be another narrative of okay, now you got to go 2 in a row, or can they prove they could do it again? So you're never going to run from those things. So it's better to just kind of laugh at them, embrace them, smile at them. And that's the beauty of kind of, the arena, the competition that you're in,
Hey, Adam Silver said yesterday that he likes the idea of shortening games to 40 minutes by going from 12-minute quarters to 10. He thinks it'd be a better product because right now I think the average length of a game is 2 hours and 16 minutes. He thinks it'd be better at 2 hours. What do you think?
I mean, I don't really get too worked up about that stuff. Whatever he thinks is best for the league, it's our job to, play the game as hard as we can and, focus on that. But, he thinks of creative things. I think he's done a great job building the league, up until this point. So, whatever he decides, we'll do. To me, I don't really get too caught up in the rules. I wait for them to come out and then find ways to manipulate them.
There you go.
I like that.
How about 2 20-minute halves, just like college?
Yeah.
Oh, hell no. No, we can't
You don't
do
like that?
Whoa.
No.
What's the difference? What's the
I mean,
problem?
you ever watched the EuroLeague game? I mean, EuroLeague games are like really fun to watch. To me, it's not about the problem. To me, it's like there's only one league, and now there's only one league in the entire world, which I think that plays 20-minute halves. Everywhere else plays quarters, and so you're looking at the growth of the game, and you're looking at the development of young players, and you're looking at the development of it, and there needs to be full continuity if you want full development. And so you take a look at, in Europe, guys have been playing with the shot clock since they were 10 years old, and here some kids don't play with the shot clock until they're in college. And so, you see different rules throughout. And I think in order to get full growth of the game and full development, you have to have full continuity about, how the game's going to be played.
I think this is because you like all those quarters stats and you like winning quarters. That's what I think it's about. I think that's what it's really
it's
about.
important.
I know.
I actually, if it was up to me, I wish we would ban halftime. I mean, I can't stand halftime. I mean, they don't have half times, and I just don't understand it.
I hate it halftime
I do,
too.
I guess, from a business standpoint, but I hate it. I hate halftime.
It's a
I think
hard
it's
stop.
useless.
It's a hard stop, Joe.
Yeah.
It almost gets you out of your rhythm, out of momentum, and you got to.
Well, it gives you an opportunity to escape from the. It gives you an opportunity to escape from the arena. I mean, it gives you an opportunity to escape from the competitive arena, and I've never understood it from a psychological perspective of it's crazy. Even I think in cricket they take how long? They take a few hours off, right?
I have no clue, Joe.
Yeah,
They have a lunch break. Now, if that was the case, if we could roll out a chicken parm or we have a lunch break and we have a glass of wine in between halves, that's different. 15 minutes.
I mean,
You either got to go
15 minutes
zero
is
or
long.
go
Yeah.
By the way, I mean, I think of other sports, their half times are not 15 minutes.
Yeah, but then if
it's 13.
you calculate the walk back from the court to the locker room,
Oh, it's so far.
it's a waste of time by the time,
it is.
from a 15-minute standpoint. It's a lot of wasted time.
How do you spend halftime? What do you do?
I mean, I walk back there. We sometimes we watch film, but I think at that point you're relying on your staff and regrouping about, okay, what are the 2-3 things on each side of the ball that we have to get better at, that's either giving us problems or that we're doing really, really well. What do we need to replicate? What do we need to change? Sometimes you show film, so I usually watch a 10-15 clip edit that the staff makes, decide if we want to watch it or we just kind of want to talk. So it happens quickly, but we try to keep it efficient.
You guys got a snack? They give you a snack in there at halftime?
Oranges?
What do your
No snack.
nutritionists give you? Yeah. No snack.
Nothing.
Wow.
No snack. That's a good idea, though.
Will you go with the
Maybe
big
some orange
emotional
slices or
speech?
something.
Orange slices. I think orange
Oh,
slices.
yeah,
is
that's
it
good.
too.
Little
What's that,
something.
McCone?
I said big. Will you go with a big emotional halftime speech at all, or is that not really the move?
I think it just depends on the game, I mean, it depends on the game. It depends on the situation. You want a back-to-back? Is it I think you're just trying to, that's part of the walk back is assessing, what's 100% needed at this time,
Yeah. All right, Joe.
Appreciate it, Joe.
Appreciate it today, as always.
Yeah, great job. Great stuff today, huh?
Yeah.
I think so.
We're in New Orleans next week. You're coming on with us next week, right?
Just tell me when.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You'll be on the phone still.
All right.
You won't be with us in New Orleans.
Right, but yeah.
We'll be there next week.
Yeah.
You'll be there, yeah. Right.
You wouldn't want that.
Yeah, I would, Joe.
Oh, I think we would.
We'll take a walk. Bring your coins.
Later.
See you, Joe.
Bye, Joe. Joe Mazzulla, Celtics head coach. If you like that clip, check out more videos from Zolak and Bertrand here. For more Celtics analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.